What's poppin'? It's Grand Dumbo here. Welcome back to another video. Now, this video is going to be completely different. I think I'm just going to try it out because there's this thing that really bugged me when I was in a in a maths lesson, and it's been in my mind for quite a while, but I've never really had anywhere to test it out. So I'm going to be testing out that shapes make no sense. So everyone knows how a shape is represented. It's that, right? This is a circle. It's not really a circle. It's like an oval because I kind of squashed it a bit. But this right here, these right here are lines, and the lines in a certain configuration make a shape. Now, that kind of makes no sense when it comes to angles. Like, let's say this right here, pretty good. Let's make it a bit thick just to prove my point a tiny bit more. It does work with even one pixel thick, and it's not just pixels that make it work. But how big would you say this triangle is? Because let's just say this is the very top, right? Oh, I kind of messed that up a tiny bit because the thickness is so big. But let's say that's 1 pixel, right? And that is the thickness of the triangle. Well, it's not because the things were kind of in the way. But let's say that is as well. But then right here is another thickness of the triangle. These are not the same. So how big is this triangle? Would you measure it from the outside, or would you measure it from the inside? Now, it's kind of weird because this can happen for every shape. Like, even if it's 1 pixel, well, it doesn't really work with 1 pixel because there's not really a difference between them. Well, there is, but there's not much you can measure. Now, right here, let's use a square for this. So this area right here, let's make this color white. This right here is space overlapping itself. It's weird because this place here and this place here is just different, and it really annoys me because it's not just computers with their pixels, but it's also let's say a pencil with its thickness of the line, or pens with like a 2mm tip, because it just makes no sense whatsoever. I haven't actually seen this shape before. Okay, that's pretty cool. You can make rainbows with this. So then if I Control C, Control V, flip, join up, awesome rainbow. So yeah, that happens. But another thing is that just reminded me of is when two shapes go right next to each other. Okay, let's say the thickness is 20 here, and the thickness is 20 here. Oh, that was just the select. I didn't actually make the shape itself. Here, just pretend these are up a tiny bit. So right here, there's 2 thicknesses. It's more thick than this area over here, and that's thicker. But the thing is, they overlap. Now, I think that was a perfect overlap. So this right here it's 2 shapes, and they're connected towards each other. So now it's even more complicated, because it's really annoying now. Because look, we've got this here as one of the lengths, and we've got this here as another length, but then we have this here, which is another length, but then this bit in the middle, it's just suddenly got that amount of length. Now, it makes absolutely no sense to me why we draw shapes like that. Oh, actually, it does make sense. It's because we can actually physically represent the shape. That would mean to have a true shape, you would have to have an infinitely small line of thickness, which means you can't have anything infinitely small. Now, you could make up a measurement that's infinitely small, but it'd have to start somewhere. You can't have, like, let's say this is so small, it's smaller than atoms, it's smaller than quarks, even like it's infinitely small, but it's a measurement. It's a measurement. There must be one bit there and one bit there. It can't just be going on forever. It makes no sense. And this is the paradox of shapes. I don't know how, if this is actually a thing or not, but this right here, it makes no sense. So, as a rule of thumb, I would say that this bit here does not exist. It's this line on the outside, which is infinitely small, that you have to measure. Because you can put something on another point, and so, okay, let's draw a diagram for this. So this right here is your table, right? But it's a really, really small part of your table. So this right here is your finger. Your finger presses down on the table. But where is the exact point? So in the very, very middle of your finger, which is like here, but then there's a more exact measurement, which is here, but then even in between that, it's here, and then it keeps on going down for an infinite shape until it hits here, and then you've got another problem, like where it hits there. Well, it's right here, and it infinitely goes down, so you don't know where it is. So even trying to measure a line with a ruler, which just touches points, you would never be able to get it perfect. Now, it just annoys me so much that that these shapes make no sense whatsoever. Like, already circles have got like the hardest, because that nobody knows how to really like properly calculate the curve. Well, they do, it's just pi, but we don't know every single number of pi because it's infinite. Now, if you think about stuff from not a maths point's perspective, but more of a scientific point of perspective, viewpoint, that's the word I'm trying to say, it's completely weird that infinity even exists. Like, we know that the universe right now, we know that the universe is expanding. That's my universe. In a like every single direction for an infinite amount of time. But the thing is, an infinite amount of time hasn't passed yet. So we don't know if that's infinite or not. And then some people theorize it's not infinite because it would just start climbing right back down, and then another one happens. Infinite loops are what are in science, and just everything being infinite is in maths. Because even like when you get introduced to decimals, there's a 1, right? And then you got a point. It's like, where's that point there? Well, it's to measure stuff in between. And you're like, okay, that's cool. Now we've got a more exact measurement. But the thing is, you can keep on doing that. And keep on doing that. And even then, before you're even introduced to decimals, there are infinite numbers, which I can actually give a pass on, actually. Because we made the numbers up, and we say you could go on forever. There's not really, there's an equation to help you do it, but there's no names for them. Now, that's totally fine. I could say there are an infinite amount of words I could say. It would just take a very, very long time to say them all, because I just made that up. But then that takes me on to the thingy, like, we made shapes up as well. Like, regular shapes we made up. So let's say this square right here, that's a pretty regular shape, if you ask me, because all of the lines are straight. But the thing is, you could never get a straight object in real life, because if you think about it, everything is made out of atoms. Now, I don't know the exact shape of an atom, but I'm pretty sure it's just a circle. And the electrons around it, no, not a circle, I mean like a sphere. Now, that means it can never be flat. That means everything's made out of like tiny little balls, basically. And, I mean, I'm oversimplifying this quite a bit, but that means nothing can be completely flat. And then, I mentioned quarks earlier, about measurements smaller than quarks. Now, those are supposed to be 2D. So, imagine this, right? 3D view. Look, that right there, you literally can't get it off of there. You can't look behind the 2D object, but then with these 3D shapes, look, oh wow, you can move that around there, you can do that, and you can do that. And when you try moving this, I can't select that, let's go back to that. You can't move it. You can move it like that, but you can't move it here to do that. That's normal 2D shapes. If it can move like that, it's not. It must always be facing you, which is kind of weird if you ask me. But that's a bunch of complicated stuff we don't need to get into right now. But the main point I'm trying to make is, if that's 2D, that means there's no third dimension. That means it is a straight line. But how do we not know it's made out of other things? Other things that are even infinitely smaller, but we just can't measure because we don't have a measurement that small, and we can't pick it up because we don't have the equipment that can go down into infinite smallness, because it's impossible. We cannot keep on looking down for an infinite amount of time. That's made out of that. 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 It just blows my mind. I'm going to refrain from saying that makes no sense whatsoever, because it must make sense. Otherwise, how are we in this world right now? I mean, most of the thing is, we're talking like circles, 2D objects, they're all hypothetical. This circle right here isn't even a circle. Look, you can quite obviously see the rigid lines here. Well, they're less rigid because they're coloured, because of like trying to visual stuff, but that's not a proper circle. This right here is a proper thingy, but that is a proper rectangle. But it just baffles me how we can't have curved lines, we can't have straight lines, like completely straight lines in real life. We can't have completely curved lines because, well, can we? I mean, I did say atoms were like, or like the things that make up atoms are like spheres. So, are they perfect? They can't be, because if you keep on going down and down, you get to quarks, and they're 2D, and you can't make a curve out of a 2D shape. I mean, you can make a looking one, like let's say this right here, awesome. This is a sphere. But then if we go 3D view and like zoom up quite a lot, look, there's a straight line, or straight line in air quotes, because we know they don't exist. And I just wanted to get this out of my system, how I don't think it makes any sense, but somehow it must. So, also, Rainbow Six Siege is downloading right now, so I kind of can't make a Minecraft video if it's going to be 2 hours late, and then that messes up my timetable, and then, yeah, so that's kind of why I'm making this one, and I just wanted to make a video like this. So, I was about to save my project, but I don't need to do that. So, what's not poppin', it's not Grand Dumbo, and goodbye.